hailing frequencies are open.
And look who's here! It's Keira. Keira is joining us for Sci-Fi Sunday today here on Hailing Frequencies. And it's a really special day. We are absolutely thrilled to have you here, Keira. Because it's your birthday as well, isn't it?
It is my birthday today. Hello, and thank you so much for having me back. It's really, really lovely to be here again.
Oh, it's an absolute delight to have you back. And Captain Quinn straight in. Hey, Keira, happy birthday to you. So, yes, absolutely. So you're here for Fan Focus today, are you not? Looking forward to that. And I expect everyone's going to think it's about Star Trek.
Yes, people. Oh, Rick is here as well. Hi, Rick.
Rick is here. Hi, Rick.
I was actually trying to get Rick to guess which franchise I'd chosen earlier, and he couldn't guess. And no, it's not Star Trek. It's not even a TV series. So
no. So we will find out later what that is. Really looking forward to chatting to you about that. Other things we've got in today's episode, we are doing a deep dive into the scariest moments of Star Trek. You like a bit of horror, don't you, Keira?
I love horror.
You do indeed. So yes, and that's one to watch. I'll be doing an unboxing of Eaglemoss's XL Oberth class. Everybody's favourite ship, the Oberth. We will be doing another section of the part work build, the Enterprise. And oh my God, I had an absolute nightmare with this section, as you are going to see. And of course, as always, we bring you the latest Star Trek and general science fiction news. But first, Keira, it's all about you today. I'm doing the Voyager uniform specially. See?
Thank you. It does look good on you. I'm really happy you managed to find one. It's been a while, hasn't it?
No, it took so long and so many orderings and sending backs because it was utterly the wrong size. And yeah, it's been a pain. But yes, so how have you been keeping?
I've been good. I've been really busy. My course is definitely keeping me on my toes. I've just been trying to knuckle down, do as much as I can. I have been trying to go to the gym a lot more because I found that it's really good for my mental health, actually. And I've put it off for years thinking that I wouldn't be able to do it. And I found my little niche. So I'm getting good at that. And yeah, just enjoying living in Wales, actually. I feel very fortunate to be in such a beautiful area.
Absolutely. And Ed's joined in. Hi, Ed. And he says happy birthday, Keira, as well.
Hi, Ed. Thank you.
Yeah, and yes, Rick, yes, looking forward to meeting you in Chicago. So excited for Chicago.
I know, I can't wait. I've been I told all my family I didn't want any birthday presents. I just wanted money for Chicago. So I've got a little money box. I've been stashing notes and coins and every bit of spare change in. So even though I'm a student, I'm determined to have a good time in Chicago. So I'm saving up.
Oh, we will. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Have you seen some of the guests that have been announced?
I haven't looked at the updated guest list for a while, actually. So is there anyone there who I might like?
A certain Ms. Mulgrew is going to be there.
I kind of had a feeling that she was going to be there. Hopefully she doesn't cancel last minute.
Yes. Yes, I mean, we're hoping that for everyone, but if they have to, they have to. And, yeah, I'm sure we'll understand. My top two are Anthony Rapp and Will Wheaton.
Lovely.
Will Wheaton.
That would be so nice. Oh, I mentioned to Rick as well that we were going on a little road trip to Indiana to see the Janeway statue, and he said he might come with us.
Oh, brilliant. Absolutely.
So we can have a little gang of Trekkies in uniform at the Janeway statue.
Yes, totally. We can all wear our Voyager uniforms.
Yes. I'm actually going to make some alterations to mine because I wanted to wear my ops uniform for Balana, but because it's a men's one, it's too big on the waist, it's too big on the shoulders, and it's too long in the leg. So I think what I'm going to do is just cut the top off and just have it like a jumper so I can wear my own trousers with it. And see if I can alter the shoulders to make it look a bit more feminine and less like manly.
Sort of power. But what about shoulder pads? Would that? Oh, would that be a bit 80s?
Might be a bit 80s, yeah.
I remember the 80s. To me, that was yesterday. We always end up talking about age every time you and I.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm so much younger than usually.
A little bit less today.
A little bit less, yes. I'm 28 today, which is hilarious because I'm living in halls at uni and all of my housemates are 18. So I'm now 10 years older than my housemates, which is funny, but they are lovely and we do get on really well. So I blend in. I told everyone who I don't live with, who in uni, they all think I'm 22.
Right. You can get away with that very easily.
I actually, the other day, someone thought I was 18. Someone, when I was working in the hospital, and she was like, "Oh, Kira's our little baby," and I was like, "I'm nearly 28," and she was like, "Oh, we thought you were 18, Keira. That's why we were looking after you." And I was like, I thought you were just being nice.
As Ed says, then, so your housemates don't even remember the 20th century. Thanks, Ed.
Oh, that's depressing, isn't it? Let's not talk about them.
No, let's talk about something else instead. Let's talk about your fan focus thing that you're here to talk about. So reveal what your big influence is that you're going to talk about.
I feel like the franchise I've chosen is a bit left field, considering that I'm so big in the Star Trek fandom at the moment, like on TikTok and Twitter and everything. But the franchise I've chosen is Studio Ghibli.
And why not? It's absolutely beautiful. I've never seen a Studio Ghibli. I wouldn't call myself a fan like yourself, but everything I've ever seen has been absolutely beautiful. So why not?
It's stunning. The animation style, you can see how they progressed over time from the films in the 80s to the films that are being released in this decade. The music, with, I forget his name, Miyazaki, I feel like, is the composer that they use. And sadly, he's done his last film with Studio Ghibli now, so I'm not sure if it's going to be quite the same going forward. But the music, just, if I hear it randomly and I'm not prepared for it, I feel like really choked up and like, oh, because it means so much to me. I grew up with those films, and I probably, in my younger years, probably actually watched those more than I watched Star Trek. It's only been since I was for the last like 10, 15 years that I've really been going hard on the Star Trek stuff. But before that, it was all Studio Ghibli.
So to anyone not familiar with Studio Ghibli, I think, it's safe to say we know it's animation.
Yeah.
But what makes Studio Ghibli different? What makes it a franchise in its own right?
It has a very particular style, and the films, while quite whimsical and exciting and fun, they often have like a really deep, meaningful message to them. And I think I remember the first one I ever watched when I was about 5, and it was just after my parents had split up, and it like got me right in the feels. I don't know another way to put that, but I was 5 years old watching this film and it just blew my mind. And I think as a 5-year-old watching them for the first time, it is really magical. They are such magical films, all of them. Well, most of them. There's some kind of sense of otherworldliness that you don't get in other animated films. Like you don't really get that same feeling with Disney films, or Pixar or anything like that. So that's why I think this is a special one.
Excellent. And so I'm as a layman, I'm familiar with Howl's Moving Castle. I'm familiar with Spirited Away. I watched The Cat Came Back not that long ago.
The Cat Returns.
Which apparently was a sequel.
Yes.
Which I didn't realise.
To Whisper of the Heart. But you can watch it as a standalone film. I prefer The Cat Returns to Whisper of the Heart, actually.
It's yeah, I then watched a trailer for Whisper of the Heart, so yeah, I can see it was much more developed. Um, but what I mean, what others should people be on the lookout for? Do you think? Other
Well,
than
my
God's
my
Operation?
favorite is Howl's Moving Castle, and that's a stunning film, and that's one of the more modern ones. I've read the book as well, and it's actually written by a Welsh woman, and the book is very different. Some of it's even set in Wales, like they come between worlds. So I would really recommend the book to anyone who is interested in Howl's Moving Castle. Um, the first one I watched was actually Valley of the Wind, which I saw the American release of it, which was under the name of Warriors of the Wind. So for a long time, I didn't even know that it was part of the Studio Ghibli franchise. And as a child at that time, it was really hard to find these things out. Like I didn't have the internet and stuff, so I couldn't Google it or anything. And I remember going into Borders when Borders, the bookshop, was a thing because they had a DVD section or a video section or whatever. And I remember asking them, have you got Warriors of the Wind? I want to buy it. And they looked it up on the system and they said, no, it doesn't exist. Because over in America, it had been released under a different name, but here it was released under the Japanese name. So it took me a couple of years to figure out that there was a difference, but we got there in the end.
Have you watched every Studio Ghibli film?
No. So one of their very, very first ones, the Castle of Cagliostro, I just haven't been able to find it anywhere. Um, and I did look for a long, long time, many years, to try and find it, but I actually just haven't been able to. And that was technically released before, it was released by the same people, but before Studio Ghibli became a franchise. So I think I can get away with it. But there's also one I haven't seen, two actually. My Neighbours, the Yamadas, which apparently is really good, and The Tale of Princess Kaguya. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but they've got different animation styles to the rest of the franchise. And I'm very attached to how things are animated, so that's why I haven't watched them. But I have heard some really lovely things about them. Apparently, they're beautiful films. I do want to watch them eventually.
Okay. So you said about the connection you felt as a small child, especially at a difficult time, having something to sort of to give you the feels, like you said, it is absolutely brilliant. But what about, is that something that sort of has carried you through to today? Does it always sort of transport you back to being that child, or do you get different things from it now?
Yeah, if I watch that particular film, if I watch Valley of the Wind, it does bring me right back to my childhood. There's a song that's played at the end of the film, and I loved it so much as a child. And I remember when I used to go and visit my dad, we didn't see him very often because he lived really far away once my parents split up. And I remember he had all of these like floor cushions in the living room, and I would space them out in a circle on the floor. And to the beat of the song, I would hop from one cushion to the other. And I would wait for the whole movie for that moment so I could hop around on these cushions to the beat of this song. So that's what I think of every time I watch that film. And I think the next one I watched after that was Spirited Away. So that one's really reminds me of my childhood as well. The rest of them I kind of don't have that sort of connection to from my childhood, but I do enjoy them, especially Howl's Moving Castle.
So what does Howl's Moving Castle give you then?
It's hard to explain because it's so fantastical and so otherworldly, and yet there is a sort of hint to our world and how life is for us. It's kind of one of those movies where you just wish it was real. I just wish I could immerse myself in an actual world of magic and do all these amazing fantastical things and go on adventures with fire demons and wizards and everything. It's very cool. And I love the fashion they wear as well, because it's kind of like Victorian, but then really modern in some parts. It's kind of abstract in that sort of sense. So yeah, I just like the aesthetic. I think it's cool.
Aesthetic, yeah, that's excellent. Now, no franchise out there, even Star Trek, is not perfect. It takes a lot for me to say that. So, if you could change one thing about Studio Ghibli, what would it be?
I would unmake the film called Grave of the Fireflies. I don't know if you've seen it, but that is the most devastating, heartbreaking film I've ever seen. And if I could unwatch it or just delete it from existence, I would. It's just so painful. The first time I watched it, I said, I'll never watch it again. And then my housemates a few years ago really wanted to watch it. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm emotionally ready for it, but I'll watch it with you because you want to. And I did. I made myself sit through it again. And it was just even worse the second time around. There's not literally nothing happy happens in that film. It is sad and depressing from start to finish. Do not recommend.
Okay. I kind of feel that way about that Christmas film, It's a Wonderful Life. I can never get all the way through that because it's too depressing.
It is a bit.
Yeah. Okay. So you'd either unwatch or unmake that one completely, right? And you mentioned earlier that Studio Ghibli have gone with is it the most recent films that have gone a different aesthetic, a different style?
It's more like the style sort of evolved over time. It's become more polished, with updated technologies and people improving their skills over time. If you put one of the 80s films next to one of the modern films, there's a very big difference in quality. But I think what also makes the more modern ones stand out is that now they don't have the same composer. I don't know which one was his last film, but I remember everyone being really sad when he retired because he's very old now. But yeah, they do have a slightly different feel because of the different music, I think.
And where do you think Studio Ghibli is going down the road? I mean, especially now that the composer has passed away. What do you think is in the future for Studio Ghibli?
Well, I noticed a kind of trend in sort of how things were going. They have a lot of their older films were not rooted in Japanese mythology and stuff like that, but had very much more of a Japanese feel. But some of the more modern ones don't have that. And I'm wondering if maybe they're trying to connect with a more international audience. And quite a few of their films are based on books. And they did one about the borrowers, which was a part of my childhood, the actual borrowers. And it was really interesting to see how they adapted that for an animation. I think they're trying to branch out into more recognizable features that people in the US and the UK would appreciate, which I like in a way, but I did also really like the Japanese elements to some of the older films. It would be interesting to see what they do next.
Well, I was going to ask, do you think that's good that it's going to bring a wider audience, or do you think they're going to lose some of their personality?
I don't know. I honestly couldn't say, and I wouldn't want to judge them before they've done it. But I think it's exciting because I will always love Studio Ghibli no matter what they make, and I think a lot of the old school fans will say the same because the franchise means so much to people that they wouldn't want to give it up. And actually, I heard that they were creating a Studio Ghibli theme park, which would be very exciting to go and visit.
Okay. Interesting. So we've had a couple of people mention in the chat that they're not familiar with Studio Ghibli, that it's not something they've come across. So if people wanted to find out more, if they've been swayed by your passionate talk about it, where would they go? What would they look for? What do you recommend they start with?
I would recommend starting with Spirited Away because that is the most popular film that they've released. And that's the one that usually gets people hooked. After that, I would watch Howl's Moving Castle, Princess Mononoke, which is amazing. That's one of my favorites as well. And then maybe branch out and maybe do some of the older stuff like Valley of the Wind. That's a real 80s film and it's absolutely stunning. One of the main ones that they're really popular for is My Neighbor Totoro. But actually, that is not a good film to start on because it's quite slow and it can be seen as a bit boring. And I remember watching it with a friend who had seen all the movies the same as me and someone else who hadn't seen them before. And me and him really enjoyed it because it was something we were familiar with. But the person who'd never seen a Studio Ghibli before was like, why are you making me watch this? It's boring. So don't start with My Neighbor Totoro. I don't know if they're available to stream online. I think some of them might be on Netflix. But this is one of the franchises where I've got hard copies of all of the DVDs. And I don't buy hard copies of anything, but the covers of the DVDs are so nice and they're all numbered on the side, so you can have them all lined up. And I don't have space for them at the moment, so they're all shoved under my bed in halls. But it's worth getting them on DVD or Blu-ray.
Well, I know. I'm pretty sure I watched Spirited Away not long ago on Netflix, and the cat came back. Came up as
The cat returns.
After watching it. Sorry, the cat returned. Why do I keep saying the cat came back? Should have been called The Cat Came Back. Anyway, yes, The Cat Returns. Sorry. It came up as a recommendation as a result of that. So, I know some are definitely on Netflix.
Lovely.
And Rick has already said Spirited Away is in the queue for his next movie.
Oh, good.
So
You'll enjoy it.
Go.
It's a beautiful film.
Excellent. And do let us know what you think of it, Rick. So, gosh, thank you, Keira, for talking to us about Studio Ghibli. Now, obviously, a lot of our viewers are already very familiar with you and follow you in the usual places, Twitter at Lieutenant Keira and such. But your TikTok's blown up, hasn't it?
Yeah, I've got nearly 10,000 followers on TikTok now. I don't really know what happened. I posted one very silly video a while ago, and I woke up and the next day had like 5,000 more followers than I had the night before. I was like, what's going on? But yeah, so I'm trying to get to 10K on TikTok. If anyone wants to follow me, it's at Keira Spirit, which I'm thinking about changing sometime soon. So it's more obvious that it's a cosplay account.
Right. All one word?
Yes, all one
Keira
word.
Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
At Keira Spirit. I'll stick a link. So what I'll be doing, I'll be putting this out there as a standalone video. So I'll put links in
Lovely
as well. Fantastic. And for Twitter, anywhere else that people can find you, or is that it?
That's it, really, for fan sort of stuff. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so. Do you know what? It's been an absolute delight to have you back here on a Sunday. It's absolutely amazing. But stick around because we're going to do a deep dive on scary moments. But I do know you need to shoot off. So hopefully everyone in chat will say bye-bye to Keira for now.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so lovely. And goodbye, everybody in the chat. I'll be over on Twitter if you need me. So let me know what you all think of Studio Ghibli as well.
Definitely do. Well, as I say, my goodbyes to Keira. Let's go over to this week's deep dive, which is all about the spookiest and scariest moments in Star Trek. Oh, hi. Yeah, you just caught me working in a little puzzle box. I'll pop that to one side and finish that off later. So hi, welcome to Hailing Frequencies Star Trek Deep Dive. This week we are talking about the spookiest and scariest moments of Star Trek. Now, Star Trek, of course, is not known for being a horror series, in much the same way it's not known for being a comedy. But like the fact that there are plenty of jokes throughout the entirety of Star Trek, it certainly had its dalliances with horror and various horror themes throughout it as well. Going right the way back to the original series. So let's start there. So probably the most famously scary, and I'll use that term hesitantly for this episode, but the original sort of horror episode for the original series, and by the way, I'm lumping the original series and animated series together for this, because I couldn't think of anything scary in the animated series. If you can, let us know in the comments. But yeah, original series, the episode Cat's Paw. So this is one that basically is Star Trek does a Halloween episode. In fact, it first aired on the 27th of October 1967. It's the first episode of Series 2. So being 4 days, literally, before Halloween, it was a Halloween episode. You've got curses in there. You've got witches. You've got skeletons. You've got people going doolally. It was, in fact, scripted by Robert Bloch, who was a protege of H.P. Lovecraft, probably most famous for having written Psycho, the famous Alfred Hitchcock movie. This wasn't the only episode that Robert Bloch penned for the original series, but it's definitely up there as definitely a haunted Halloween themed episode. Now, the other one I wanted to mention from the original series, probably not known as being a horror episode or a particularly scary one, but I want to take you back to my childhood. Now, 5-year-old Stu, little Stu, he's watching TV, and along comes this image, and this image was throughout the title sequence, throughout all 3 series. It is taken from the Corbomite Maneuver. So this is Series 1, Episode 2, and the official sort of way that they were put out. And it is the Baylock puppet. Not Baylock himself. He's a cute little child. Played obviously by Clint Howard, who has gone on to be in pretty much every single every single series of Star Trek ever since. But yes, it is the Baylock puppet. That scared the bejesus out of me as a child, and of course it was there staring at me on the title sequence of every single episode of the original series. I just found it utterly terrifying. So I just wanted to include that one for you, although it's not a horror episode, of course, the Corbomite Maneuver. On then, forward to the Next Generation, and I've picked 5 episodes out of the entire series for this, starting with Season 1. So I should also mention that this list is not in any particular order of preference or scariness or anything like that. I'm more going sequentially throughout. So, in Series 1 of the Next Generation, you have the first time that a Star Trek series ever got more than a sort of PG rating. I think it was either rated 15 or 18. I believe the unedited version of this episode. It was certainly a strong rating at the time, and it raised quite a few eyebrows. But I am talking, of course, about the episode Conspiracy, the one where the neural parasites are taking over people and controlling them. So you've got a lot of psychological horror in that episode. You know, you don't know who is friend, who is foe, who's been taken over. The idea of being taken over and controlled in that way obviously is quite horrific, but more so, and specifically towards the end of the episode when they track down the mother neural parasite, and Riker and Picard are there. They fire their phasers on a sustained blast and a human being explodes. literally explodes. So you've got a ton of gore in this. In fact, just before they do, I believe the skin melts off to the skeleton beneath with the eye still staring out, and then they explode. It really is quite a graphic and gory scene, on top of all that, as I say, that psychological drama as well. Then moving forward to season 4 of The Next Generation, you've got episode 17, Night Terrors. Now, this episode just had a general creepy feel to it throughout, I felt. The whole thing with Deanna sort of not being able to get any sleep and going quietly mad and insane, it really was quite, I found it quite unsettling. As they're all stuck in this rift. But it is famous for one particular scene where Beverly is stood in sickbay, and all the dead bodies on all the biobeds suddenly sit up, and they're covered in the shrouds. All the dead bodies sit up around her. That is a terrifying scene right there, so that was worth a mention. Then on to season 6, episode 5, Schisms. Now this is the episode of The Next Generation that terrified me more than any other, because it features. Basically, it's a Next Generation version of an alien abduction story. Creatures from subspace are ripping people through to their realm whilst they're asleep. They're detaching arms. They're putting them back on again. They're doing experimentation and all kinds of horrible things. But as someone who has quite a strong fear of alien abduction and that whole thing, check out Aliens Explored for my podcast, all about that sort of thing. But yeah, as someone who has an innate fear about that sort of thing, yeah, Schisms really played into that fear, and the clicking, echoey sound as well that these creatures make, that they recreate on the holodeck, is really unsettling. And speaking of unsettling, we have to mention the Next Generation episode, also from season 6, episode 21, Frame of Mind. Now, you can't get much bigger in terms of psychological horror with this episode. Riker's going through, he doesn't know if he's in a play, if it's real. He doesn't know what's real, what's fake. He doesn't know if he's been locked away. He doesn't know if he's sane or if he's insane. And you know what? As an audience member, even though Riker is such a familiar character to us, it keeps us guessing as well right to the end. Really well written episode, one of my favourites, and very disturbing, this idea that the familiar is utterly unfamiliar. Horror uses that a lot to excellent purpose. And then the final episode from The Next Generation that I want to mention is from Series 7, towards the end of the run, episode 19, the episode Genesis. Now, as a concept, I wasn't a big fan of the episode. I found the whole sort of T-cell mutating your DNA and de-evolving you, I found it to be utter nonsense and twaddle, if I'm honest. I mean, it's not the only episode with a bit of that, but what you did have in there was a lot of body horror, body shock sort of thing. Particularly we need to mention Barclay turning into this half-human, half-spider. Absolutely freaky and creepy creature that he became. A lot of people would say, for Barclay, creepy and unsettling, would be about right anyway. Anyway, moving on to Deep Space Nine. Now for a series that was the first true kind of darker, grittier series of Star Trek. We actually don't have that much in the way of actual horror, but what you do have is a couple of episodes in particular that I've picked out that are quite disturbing, quite unsettling. The first one from season 2, this is episode 14, the episode Whispers. Now, it's another Something Bad Happens to Chief O'Brien episode, and there's quite a few of those in there, as we know. But this one, he's going around, he feels that everyone's turning against him, very much in the same way of Frame of Mind. You don't know what's real, what's not. You don't know, is he just imagining how bad things are? But we're seeing it from his perspective. So there's a lot of suspicion. And again, it's that whole, the familiar becomes unfamiliar, and people seem to be acting really strangely around him, and he doesn't know what to do, and he feels that everyone is turning against him, basically, which really, really, really well written and executed episodes. One of my favourites. I mean, the first couple of seasons Deep Space Nine might have been a little bit shaky, but yeah, Whispers is definitely up there as one of my favourite episodes. And then the other one I wanted to mention is Empok Nor. This is when a group of Starfleets, again, Chief O'Brien, everything bad happens to Miles. Chief O'Brien, along with Nog and some other engineers and security, as well as Garak, go over to Empok Nor to get some spare parts, basically. Why they can't just replicate them, I don't know, but there'll be reasons, presumably space magic. But yeah, during that time, Garak gets infected and turns against the rest of them and starts killing the crew. You get to see an amazing performance, of course, from Andrew Robinson. I mean, he always gives an amazing performance. And of course, it was Andrew Robinson was in Hellraiser. The first Hellraiser, let's not forget. Come to Daddy. Yes, that was him. That was Garak. I mean, not Garak, but yeah, that was the same actor. Let's not forget. But yes, so anyway, back to Empok Nor. Yeah, Garak. And that whole, he really is nasty and devious, and you don't know when he's going to strike from the shadows. Or turn against people. It really, really is very, very good. But more, I would say for both those Deep Space Nine episodes, more the unsettling psychological sort of thriller side of horror. Then we come on to Voyager. And again, with Voyager, there are 2 episodes that I want to mention. The first one from Series 2, Episode 23, The Thaw. That's Thor, as in wielding Mjolnir and having long blonde hair. Yeah, Thor, the Thor. So this is Michael McKean, who is always an absolute delight to watch on screen, playing the creepiest clown ever. And I mean, brilliant design and makeup. You've got all these gaudy, amazing colours, and he's there just in neutral sort of grey and white sort of makeup and clothing. Really, really excellently well done. And yeah, if you've got a fear of clowns, it's not one to watch alone. And I've got to mention as well, Janeway at the end of that episode, she's pretty damn dark and creepy and unsettling herself. Not the only episode she's like that, but yeah, definitely belongs in the horror category, I think, that episode. And then, speaking of Janeway, in Series 3, Episode 15, the episode Coda, you see Janeway dies. I think she dies multiple times in that episode. And you see someone who is essentially presenting as the embodiment of death. So almost like a Seventh Seal sort of character, or that's at least how I interpreted it. It may be just an alien, like wanting to feed off her life force, or whatever. We never really get a resolution on that, and certainly never gets revisited, which I always thought was quite a shame. But that death standing with you, death standing over you, as a person sort of concept, I thought that belongs quite strongly in horror. Now, I've not included this episode. I've certainly not included it in my write-up, but I just want to mention as well the old popular one whenever Voyager comes up. No, it's not Threshold. I want to mention Tuvix, because the moment when Tuvix is taken away against his will to be separated back into Neelix and Tuvok, whichever side of the fence you sit on, I'm not going to get into any commentary about whether Janeway did the right thing or not, but I think we can all agree that is an incredibly disturbing moment. And so yeah, that kind of, let's think of that as an honourable mention. Now, moving forward now to Enterprise. Again, there are 2 episodes in Enterprise. There are actually quite a few, because that I could have picked, certainly, because I'm not keen on insects. It's not quite a well, I have a phobia of flying insects, but it's close to a phobia when it comes to normal insects. So the Zindi insectoid race kind of creep me out, and there's one episode in particular when Archer is there in a hatchery and they're crawling all over it. Oh, this jacket's talk about that, but yeah, that for me is an unsettling. But that's not the one that we're talking about here. Like I said, there's 2 episodes. First one from season 2, episode 4, directed in fact by Roxanne Dawson, who played B'Elanna Torres, of course, in Voyager. This is Dead Stop. So you've got this automated repair station. Seems like the answer to all the Enterprise's problems, because they just dock with it and it does loads of automated repairs. Absolutely amazing, except attached to it, who is trying to steal organic bodies in order to use the mental processing power of their brain. So you've got abductions in there, you've got a bit of body horror, you've actually got people getting killed by this thing, so it's it's psychotic in that way. Puts it very much in mind kind of a HAL 9000 sort of thing, and it was voiced, the computer was voiced, of course, by Roxanne Dawson as well. And the other episode I want to mention from Enterprise is from season 3, episode 5. Find a ship that has gone into the Expanse, and it's a Vulcan ship, and the Vulcans have, well, they've tried shielding their ship with this material that has quite a strong effect on them. And what you actually get is Vulcan zombies. It's absolutely amazing episode. Borderline towards silly the way they do the zombification thing, I felt. But really, yeah, it is quite freaky and definitely up there as a zombie movie. Now, bear in mind, this is before, not long before, but before you suddenly had this resurgence in zombie movies as well. Like World War Z and what have you. So it actually predates those. So yeah, it was ahead of its time. There you go. Now moving on to what people like to call New Trek and Discovery. Again, there is an awful lot that I could have picked from Discovery because it is very dark, very adult. There are scenes where Klingons are eating humans and things like that I could have picked. I'm actually only going to mention one episode, though, specifically. That is from Season 1, Episode 3, Context is for Kings. Now, the reason I wanted to mention this one, Discovery goes off, find its sister ship, the Glen, find it's been damaged quite badly. They go on board and they find really mangled and twisted up and spun about bodies in an awful state. So you've got some real sort of gore, body shock horror going on in that episode. And let's not mention, it's got a huge monster in there as well, creeping around the dark corridors that you can't kill with phasers. Yeah, absolutely, very much a horror episode for me. Lower Decks. Now, Lower Decks, of course, is famous for its comedy and for its lightness. Very much adult comedy, but definitely up there. But I wanted to mention Lower Decks. I wanted to get something at least from each series. So, Lower Decks, I wanted to mention Series 1, Episode 7, the episode Much Ado About Boimler, because it's got quite a dark, sinister side to it, where Boimler, following a transporter accident that makes him out of phase, is taken away by a very, very sinister looking Division 14. And we don't know what Division 14 is and what they do. It's supposed to be sort of for medical emergencies that can't be dealt with on ships, but yes, they'll take them away and take them to the farm. We don't know what the farm is. And, it all turns out very nicely, but that dark, sinister element throughout the entire thing, they're taking them to their doom. And it really does feel. And so, again, although it's animated, there is a lot of sort of body horror in there with some of the people who've had various accidents. And I gotta mention the dog that Tendy makes. How creepy and body horror is that thing? When it turns its face inside out and eyeballs turn into bats and fly away. It is absolutely shocking. So we definitely wanted to mention Much Ado About Boimler. And finally we come on to Picard. And I thought I'd go with the very, very first episode of Picard Series 1, Episode 1, the episode Remembrance. And for me, there was a really disturbing, horrific scene in this episode where the synthetic known as F8, after casually making jokes with organic co-workers, or attempting to make jokes with organic co-workers, very casually, very calmly turns around and murders them all. Very quickly, very efficiently, but so serenely almost. I found that really, really disturbing, and that for me, that is one of the essences of horror is when it is disturbing on that kind of level. So there we go. Now I say finally, I am going to mention one more episode, not of Picard, but of the Next Generation. I don't know if this would count as horror per se, because it's too silly, really. But I want to mention, let's call this one a dishonourable mention. Episode from Season 7, Episode 14, the episode Sub Rosa. Now, this is the one where Beverly has some very silly spectral shagging going on. And I wanted to mention it because, it is far, far too silly and kind of hilarious to be a horror at all. But actually, when you strip away that side of it and put it to one side, there's actually a really decent ghost story in behind it, almost Dickensian in its nature. With the ghost that's attached to the lamp, but it's actually an alien now, we know, but that's been in the family for generations and has been a companion to all these women. Dickens could have written something like that, not with the spectral shagging, no. But there we go. Anyway, that's my rundown of various series of Star Trek and some scary horror moments in there. What have I missed? What have I not mentioned that you were expecting, Nate, demanding be in this list? Do drop something in the messages. Let us know what else I should have mentioned, or what particularly scared you in an episode. That maybe you understand, it's not a horror thing, but what did you find particularly scary in an episode that I've not mentioned? Or do you agree with any of what I've said? Do let us know. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this. This has been a rundown of my scariest Star Trek moments. Now back to my puzzle box.
Hailing frequencies are open.
There we go. I did survive the hooks and chains. It was all fine. Hope you enjoyed that deep dive into the scary moments. Like I said there, any that I've missed, any that you think I should have included that I didn't, do let me know in the comments. Or indeed, if there's any that I did include that you thought maybe shouldn't have been there, let me know. I'd also really like to hear what you think about this this format that I'm doing now, where things like the deep dive, the build the Enterprise, I'm doing as videos as part of Sci-Fi Sunday. So my intention, as it stands right at this moment, is to do each section, including the unboxing down the road, as a standalone video. It makes it easier to put them out as a solo video on YouTube afterwards. But to do Sci-Fi Sunday as a collection of, here's this, let's go over to this video, let's go over to that video, and sort of pull it all together as a premiere of each of those videos. What do you think of that as a concept for this show? Because it's your show ultimately. I'm just trying out ways of making it entertaining. Yes, thank you, Ed. Ed likes it, works well, good. Do jump in, let me know in the comments. But something we're going to do right now live. I've taken the Voyager uniform off. Yes, indeed. Always chance for a costume change. And that's the thing. I'll probably do things like the news I'm toying. Should I do it live? Should I do it as a pre-record? I'm not sure. But yeah, things like the like the deep dive. It means I can also put pictures and images over the top and text over the top at the appropriate places. So that's the idea, is to make it that bit more visually interesting. And yes, probably in uniforms as well, no doubt. So something I'm going to do live right now is our visit to the Divine Treasury. Now, where's my there's my Divine Treasury page. Let's go over there right now. We are going to be looking at this bad boy here. Now, everybody loves an Oberth class. Just ask Ed and the rest of our Star Trek Adventures players, because indeed the Oberth class, of course, used as a testbed for new warp technologies, new engine technologies. That's the ship's primary purpose. And yes, the crew definitely spent some time on an Oberth class in our first season of Star Trek Adventures of Star Trek Livingston. So you can always go back and watch that on YouTube if you like, and you'll now be able to visualize the ship in your head. This particular one is the USS Pegasus from the Next Generation 2-part episode. Pegasus? Was it? No, it wasn't a 2-parter. No, I'm thinking of Chain of Command. Yes, the episode Pegasus, which obviously featured at the end of Enterprise as well, the last controversial episode of Enterprise. It is a strangely laid out ship, because where do the turbo shafts go? But we will have a good look at that. Let's open it up and have a good look at that. Need to put my drink down first. There we go. So this is an Eaglemoss Herocollector. This from the main collection, the collection that's now finished. In fact, the Star Trek Starships collection. We've just got pictures on the outside. That's all. Yes, they've moved over to what they call the Universe collection now, Star Trek Universe, because they were doing separate Discovery collection. Yeah, and to incorporate Strange New Worlds and Picard and Lower Decks and all of that. Yeah, they've gone over to what they're calling Star Trek Universe. So we have a magazine. We have one of the smaller magazines. We have the specification, crew of 80, 120 meters long, in service 2285 to 2273. So a long time, nearly 100 years. We get a bit of background about the ship, different aspects of it, some more information about the search for Spock. Randomly, quite a lot of information about the search for Spock. In fact, I don't know why. Don't think an Oberth appears in the search for Spock. Oh yes. Oh, maybe it does. Maybe it does. Okay. Oh, and that's it. Yes. Normally there's information about how it's designed and things like that. Grissom, of course. Yes. Oh, I'm being silly. Yeah. Normally they give you information like about the design of it and. But yes, anyway, there's the magazine. Let's pop that to one side and get this properly open. So here's the big reveal. I'm always terrified I'm going to do this and, you know, one's been broken to pieces inside. We have our base, Oberth class. And let's take it out. Oh, it's nice. It's a good, solid piece. This hole, no, that's a plastic saucer, but this, I don't know what you'd call this, the sensor array normally. That is die cast here. Plastic nacelles, plastic secondary hull, and plastic struts. So yeah, it's got lots of lovely detail on it. Let me get that a bit closer so you can see the Aztecing on it. Really clear Aztecing on it. Main superstructure, that's probably a good phrase. Yeah, you got some nice decals, call them what you will. Along the side, you got more Aztecing underneath. Yeah, this is a really lovely model. You got the impulse engines at the back, of course. Yeah, I'm very pleased with this. What is lacking, and I've never noticed this about the design until just now, it doesn't have a sort of a deflector dish, unless that's it there. Let me get close in. Doesn't look like a deflector dish to me. But without a deflector dish, how does it deflect all the particles in space? Anyway, this is a really nice model. When I got it because I'm a completionist, and you know. But actually, I'm really pleased with this now. But yeah, so if you're in main engineering, the turbo shafts have to go up the struts and into the warp engines, warp nacelles. Really bizarre design. I mean, all you'd need is just a single sort of fin or piece connecting between the two there, and that would have made things a lot easy. But yes, it is a tricky one. Yes, of course, you scratch built one. Do you know what, Ed? If you've got any pictures of it, post that in the Discord. Just to remind us, that would be fantastic. Yes, I see what you mean about the Vulcan. Puts me in mind of a canoe. Yeah. But it is very, very nice. Like you say, a almost Vulcan design. Well, Vulcans are a founding member of the Federation, so why wouldn't it be? Yes, really nice. Very happy with that one. Well done, Eaglemoss. There we go.
Hailing frequencies are open.
Pacific Space Canoe. Yes, indeed. You never know. You never know, indeed. Right, so that's the Oberth class. Next thing we're going to look at, we're going to go over to another Herocollector Eaglemoss project, the part work for the Build the Enterprise. This is section 22. I actually recorded this over a series of days because, well, let's just say things did not go according to plan, as you will now see. Let's head on over to Grabthar's Toolbox and have a look. Hi everyone, and welcome to stage 22 of the Build the Enterprise Eaglemoss Herocollector part work, where indeed step by step we are building, I'll put that knife away, we are building the actual Enterprise NCC 1701D. Now those of you who were watching last week will remember that perhaps that I was going to do sections 21 and 22 together, but 22 ended up looking way more complicated than I originally realised, and indeed we're putting panels on the neck section, on the Cobra head section here. So and I remember when this first came out, which was some months ago now. I am a little bit behind. I remember a lot of people talking about how fiddly this whole section is in terms of getting the wiring in the right places so that it doesn't sort of push up the panels and what have you. So yeah, so I thought this really needs to be a standalone. Obviously, lucky for you, I get to fast forward you through the boring bits, but yeah, it is going to take some doing, I think, this section. Now, you'll notice I've actually already made a bit of a start. Unfortunately, I forgot to switch my microphone on, which is rather embarrassing. So I'd been talking away to you, but not realising that it wasn't being recorded. So we've only got visual. In fact, do you know what? Let's do a really fast forward run through of the bits I've done so far on this. It isn't very much. I've basically opened it, I've looked at the parts that there are for this, and I've made a start. I've snipped out the life pods and the windows and started putting them in according to the pattern, because there is a small section of the saucer section on this this part. So let's have a quick look at what we've done so far, just without the audio, and speed it up for ease. And there we go. So that brings us nicely up to date, hopefully. So I'm putting the windows in. I'm going to continue doing that, and then we'll move on to the next stage. And there we go. That's the last window in. Obviously, if I was to turn this over now, it'd all fall out. So what we need to do is look at getting the backing plate on it so it's nice and secure. And looking at this, we need to fit the wiring. We did get two new bits of wiring, 2 new LED lights with this. So we're going into the top section of the lights. Now I do sometimes, so we need to I do sometimes pop a little bit of super glue on these just to hold them in place. Let's see how I get on without that. Yeah, I'm going to drop a little bit of super glue. It just makes the job that little bit easier. And it doesn't affect the windows at all, because it's on the reflective side. So just a little drop there. Little drop there. Oh, a bit more there. There we go. That should just hold it in place. I don't put much. I don't need to put much. Like I say, it is just really just to hold it while this is getting fitted. There we are, and that should do the job nicely. So let's try this again. So these holes here are going to line up with those two on there. I would lift it up and show you a bit closer, but I'd be scared of dropping all those windows out. Definitely don't want that. There we go. And we want 2 BP screws for this. P stands for plastic. And B, of course, denotes the size. We'll remember from previous sessions. And because they're plastic, they should just go straight in. Go, being careful not to over tighten. This plastic does crack very easily, I'm sad to say. I've had a couple of cracked panels. Not on the outside, fortunately, but these reflective panels, I've cracked a couple just by being a bit too, well, I want that to be really firmly in there, and yeah, crack. There we go. So that's our light panel. So the next, we want to fit it into position. So let's have a look at how this wiring is going to go. So it's going under, if I hold this up, hopefully a bit away from lighting, so this side the wire goes under that second bar, and it goes over that second bar on that side, but under the frame at the side. Okay, let's bring in our saucer section. Here we are. This is coming along very nicely. Obviously a whopping great size. Now I might have to do this upside down so that you can see what I'm doing, which means I need to turn the magazine upside down, otherwise I won't see what I'm doing. So this is going right on the front. It's going, that cable is going underneath, like so. That one being out, fairly sure. And this cable goes over that one and under that one. if it actually goes over the top of that one. It's not. Let's try it. Do you know that fits so much better? Nope. Here we are. So we're going to need 2 DP screws. There we go. It doesn't matter that it's away from there at the moment. We know it fits, and that's the key thing. Untuck that. There we go. There we are, so it fits like so. Yeah. So 2 DPs, one there, one there. There we are. That is the saucer section coming along very nicely. Some slightly uneven panels, but I'm hoping when all the bits and pieces are connected together, especially the bit around the rim, that will line everything up nicely. But yeah, look at that. It's certainly coming along. Some big gaps. Get my fingernail in that. Yeah, but not to worry. There we go. Right, that's the saucer section part of this. Part of this done. So that was a fly or something. So the next bit is going to be with the docking latches. So we need the battle section here. We're flipping this over. Now these, looking at this, these docking latches, that's what these are here. They each go in very specific way. I'm seeing no marking on here whatsoever to tell me which one is which. So I think I'm going to have to do this visually. It does look like it's going round in order. Oh, maybe not. But that's that one there. Oh, no, I'm telling lies. There is. I don't know how, if they can get this to focus. You see that little lump? That is actually a letter, would you believe? So I'm going to have to get my big goggles on. Can look a bit silly this, but it's really useful for close-up work. There we go. No, Antonimize is not a letter. There is no letter on this. I'll double check by comparing with this one. Nope. No lettering. So no, I was right the first time. Just need to look at the way it's shaped and go from there. Well, I'm sure if it's wrong, we will find out. So next stage is to fit the cobra head itself. And there we have it. That's that section. Well, that took a little bit of doing, but yes. Yeah, you can see these docking clamps. Riser, I don't know how that's going to work in practice, and the whole thing is built. But there we go. Now next thing is going to be getting this distribution board. So 2 FM and 2 BM screws. As ever, need to make sure this goes the right way round according to the picture. So that is like so. So the BMs are going at the front, the FMs are going at the back. There we go, that's now attached. Nice and secure. It's interesting. There's no way to access that bit now. So in order to get it up, you're going to tip it up. I wonder if it's going to use magnets or something of that nature. Maybe. Interesting. You don't want to be tipping the whole ship over every single time. Right, so we're now plugging Battle Section Light 22L. No idea which one that is. Battle Section Lights 22L. This here. Into the box and threaded again. It's like it's threaded through. But wowzers, it's really not easy to see how it's threaded. So let's get my big glasses on. Right, so what we need to do is take these two red and black sections, I'll do it on camera, One goes through that little hole there and the other one goes through the box at the side. So that's nice and simple. Get those to one side. Let's move that over there. And then on this side, this simply plugs into here. Sorry, I'm doing it off camera and I don't mean to. There we go. So that plugs into the distribution board like so. That wire is just ready to go off wherever it's going. Now thread the two bulbs through the skeleton again as shown. Do this on both sides, so I'm going to pull my glasses down. Right, so these wires here, let's switch out the way. So this wire goes according to this. No, I've got this wrong. It shouldn't go through that little hole. I've got that wrong. It goes through the big hole. There we go. So they're matching either side. And what they do, they go over that one, under there, and up out of there. Ooh. So over and like so. So they're matching. Right. Well. You can see why I left this one. So we're going to get this and we're going to do some more threading of wires. Right, I'm going to start putting screws in, see if I can get them to hold in place. I want 3 CPs. One screw. We've got this massive gap. We don't want. This was one of the issues that I remember reading about at the time. Oh! See, and it's just popped a screw out. I hope that's not threaded it, because in plastic that would be a massive problem. Oh, but look what it's done. It's actually severed a wire. Oh, this is really not good at all. Severed a wire to the LED. Ooh. So I need to now take that panel apart. I'm going to need to I don't know how I'm going to do that. That's a problem. But because it's not fitting properly, that's ended up severing the connection. Well, do you know, I mean, how much more of this would there be to do anyway? We'd have a little bit to do on the top. Repositioning of the switch, by the look of it, for this battery box. Because these are quite unique square LEDs, they're not normal LEDs, otherwise, you know, I keep a stock of LEDs in. Right, well, I'm going to have to see what I can do about this. That's going to end this. Sadly, that's on a sad note. That is going to end this section. I might end up doing a different section where I look at how to fix it. I may not, I don't know. We will have to see. But yeah, that's section 22, and it's insanely difficult. Eaglemoss. It's ridiculously difficult, Eaglemoss. Quite frankly, I think I might end up writing a complaint email about this, because this is just, I mean, you saw the gap, right? It's not sitting right, and now it's, you know, just by following their instructions, it has damaged it. I threaded the wires exactly as they said. There we go. So yeah, back to me in the studio, I suppose. Well, that left things on a bit of a downer, didn't it? And we really, really don't want to end on a downer. So, a few days have gone past since I just recorded all of that. And since then, I have gone back. I have repaired the damaged wire. So you can see it's all soldered on and in place now. I was actually a relatively... Well, it was soldered in place. And let's try again. So, gosh, this has been a real nightmare segment. Yes, so, yeah, I didn't want to end on the downer. What just happened now? I picked it up to show you all that I had soldered it back on, and the soldering came apart. So I didn't do a very good job. I have just now resoldered it because I'm stubborn like that. It's that piece there. There we go. It's a bit blobby and a bit messy, but do you know what? At this point, I kind of don't care. As long as it sticks. Oh, it's moving. There we go. As long as it stays, that's all I'm bothered about. Right, so let's get it onto this section here before it does anything else to upset me. This massive gap though. Massive gap. I mean, I can't believe that it's supposed to be a gap. Not like that. There we go. I don't want to over tighten that. But there we go. That's, well, all I can think of is that it's supposed to be like that. Although it's absolutely not. I'm certain it's supposed to be like that. But do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have a look online. I mean, look at that gap. It's ridiculous. I'm going to have a look online, see what I can find about ways of sorting that. But let's move on to the next stage now, which is plug the lights into the PCB. Right, that's all plugged in there. And you know what? These wires do need to go the other side of here. I'll have a Google. I will find out where that issue is with that gap and sort it. So next, we flip this over. We remove this battery cover. Or we try to remove this battery cover. See that? It's plugged onto there. This is a magnetic cover. I don't know how I'm supposed to get this off because there's no. Let me. I mean, surely I wouldn't have to do this every time. In fact, if that gap wasn't there, I wouldn't be able to do this. There we go. Magnets. Magnets. Nature's miracles. Okay. Insert batteries into the battle section. These triple A's. Insert the batteries. Well, like they're saying that like they've given us batteries, but they haven't. So I'm going to go get 3 AAA batteries. I'll be back in a moment. Right, so here we go, 3 AAA batteries. And it is positive, positive, negative. There we go. Use battery box cover. Well, they haven't given us a battery box cover. What are they talking about? They're talking about a part here that they haven't supplied. Have they? Oh, this is just the section from hell. Well, I can't see hide and a hair of a battery cover anywhere. So hopefully either they're talking about a part that's coming in a future one, or I've misplaced it or something. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take it off this other battery cover, other battery pack, and use this one. Yeah, definitely not happy with this. Oh, that one came with batteries. Right. Okay, pop that back. Next we take the plug from the switch and we pop it into the distribution board. Oh, that obviously works. Let's switch the switch off. There we go. All of the window lights connected to the Basel section PCB should illuminate, and these apparently should blink on and off in sync. So let's see, let's switch the light off, and they do. There we go. Oh, sorry, that's out of focus. Why is that out of focus? Come on. There we go. Are they going out of sync? No, that was just me. Yeah, it's the focus going. Okay, well, the point is they work. It's funny how that blinking is affecting the focus. There we go. That is this section, except for that gap, which I need to look at. There's another look at it. See, and I don't know how these are going to work, because you know we've buried one under this board, that one. So that must work with magnets. Magnets must lift it up as the saucer section comes onto it. I don't know. We will find out. Let me make sure that section, yes, that section is now complete. Oh, finally. Oh my goodness, that took some doing, didn't it? Anyway, yeah, so there we go. That is section, whatever section this is. That's section 22 done. Whew. Okay.
Hailing frequencies are open.
So there we go. That really was the section from hell. I've never encountered a section as bad as that one. No good. I haven't had a chance yet to look online to see about sorting that gap out yet. But hopefully, by the time I do the next section, I'll have a bit of an update for you on that. Speaking of updates, it is time in the show. Oh, I'm a bit quiet, am I? Let me turn things up a bit. How about that? Hopefully that's better. Yeah, let me know if that's better. So, yeah, it is time now in the show for Sci-Fi News. Cool. Glad that's working. So, starting off with a movie coming out fairly soon. This one from Disney. It is Lightyear. We've just had the trailer drop for this. So this is a film based on the inspiration behind the toy Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story. So I'll say that one again because it's quite complicated. You've got Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story, who is a toy. Well, this is a film about the actual Buzz Lightyear that was an inspiration for the toy. It's complicated. But it's an animated film nevertheless. It's definitely about the character rather than the toy. This time Buzz Lightyear is being voiced by Chris Evans. No, not the Radio 2 DJ host, but Captain America Chris Evans. Also, Taika Waititi is also in it, so that's something to look forward to. And like I say, we've just had the trailer drop for it. Now, Taika is not in the trailer, but Chris obviously is. So that is something to look out for. I'm going to mention a few trailers in this news. All the trailers you're going to hear about are all available on YouTube, so if you want to have a look at them, and I do recommend you have a look at all of the ones that I'm going to mention, go into YouTube, just type in Lightyear trailer and you will find it. Now, Lightyear comes out in cinemas in the UK on the 17th of June. Then on to Firestarter. Now, this is a remake of the Stephen King classic, obviously originally a book by Stephen King. It was made into a movie in the 80s, and here we have a remake of that film. We've had a poster and a trailer. It's quite a long trailer for this one, dropped recently. It looks to be a complete reimagining of the whole Firestarter story. The basic premise is the same, but it almost looks like they're turning it into a sort of X-Men superhero-y type thing, or albeit with a dark side to it. But have a look at that, see what you think for yourselves. We don't have long to wait for Firestarter to come out in the cinemas here in the UK. Comes out on the 13th of May. Now on to a TV series this time for Sky. It is a Sky original, starring Keely Hawes and Max Beasley. We have Midwich Cuckoos. Now this is based on the John Wyndham book, where in a small town all the women fall pregnant on the same night. Now I seem to recall they did a movie of this some years ago, not like a long time ago now. I think I read the book when I was quite young. Quite like John Wyndham stuff, so worth looking out for. But yeah, so that's one to look out for, and it's going to be out in the summer. Again, like with Lightyear and Firestarter, there is a trailer available on YouTube as we speak, and it really does look quite exciting, that one. Another one where we've had a trailer drop quite recently is Jurassic World Dominion. Now this one is set, it's another in the Jurassic sort of franchise, This one's set 4 years after Isla Nebula has been destroyed. Now, I'm going to hold up my hands completely here. I saw Jurassic Park. I have not seen another single movie in that franchise. For me, Jurassic Park kind of did it all. I thought, anything beyond that is just going to be sort of pushing the boundaries a little bit. But I've got to say the trailer for Jurassic World Dominion does look very, very good. You've got Chris Pratt is in it. I believe he was in the last Jurassic World movie. But you've also got the return of Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum, and Sam Neill as well. I am a huge Sam Neill fan, massive Sam Neill fan, have been for many, many years, ever since I was quite young. So this is one I'll probably make a point of seeing. That film comes out in the cinemas on the 10th of June. And yeah, do have a look at the trailer. It looks quite exciting, that one. Now, another one, this time not a remake, not from an existing franchise, but a time travel adventure called The Adam Project. Like I say, it's time travel sci-fi adventure starring Ryan Reynolds, Mark Ruffalo, Jennifer Garner, and Zoe Saldana, where a time traveller comes back and visits his younger self and his dad. Now, there is a trailer out for it. It seems quite an action-packed movie, albeit you don't really get much of the story beyond that, and there's presumably a much bigger story on it. So it's more of a teaser trailer, although it's quite a lengthy one. So do have a look at that one. That's The Adam Project. That one, we don't have to wait very long at all. It's coming out straight to Netflix. It's a Netflix original, and it's coming out on the 11th of March. So yeah, that does look good. I mean, Ryan Reynolds is always fun to watch. Mark Ruffalo always puts in an excellent performance, and so definitely one to watch there. Now, for fans of Jordan Peele, most famously, of course, did Get Out, which is an excellent, amazing film. He's working again with Daniel Kaluuya, who was the star of Get Out, of course, and I always think of him, of course, his character from Psychoville, the UK comedy that he was in before he became famous, or before he became famouser from Get Out. But yeah, he's working with Jordan Peele again for it's a film called Nope. Now, I've watched the trailer. I can't make head and tail of where they're going with it, what's happening with it. I get alien abduction vibes from it. But then it might not be alien abductions. All I can tell you is it's very, very creepy. It's very mysterious. It is downright weird. Do have a look at the trailer for Nope, because and make up your own mind about what it's about. Now, his history, Jordan Peele's history with films, is that I kind of think of him a bit like the new guy who did Signs, whose name Shyamalan. In that he has good, really amazing twists that you just don't see coming at all. So yeah, but this whole film, the premise of it eludes me. I couldn't tell you if it's an alien film, if it's... I just couldn't tell you what it is. But it's strange, it's mysterious, and it's creepy as hell. Definitely one to watch. That one comes out in cinemas on the 22nd of July. Now, on to Star Wars news. We've obviously just had the Book of Boba Fett just finished, and already we're looking ahead to the next series now. This is the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. We've had the first poster revealed, which sees Ben, Obi-Wan himself, walking alone in a desert, presumably Tatooine. One would guess. We've also had a bit of a reveal. Now I'm going to try and do this without the spoilers. The spoilers are there, out there in the public domain if you want them. If you don't want them, don't search them. But I can tell you he is going to have a mission from a major legacy character. I think that's reasonable way to do it without spoilers. We know that there's going to be a major legacy character in there. I'm not saying who it is. Like I say, you can find out if you want to find it. You go find it. It's out there. But please don't put it in the Discord or in the chat for others who may not want that spoiler. We also know that the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, the theme has been composed by John Williams. So really looking forward to that. And we finally have an official release date. We knew it was going to be May. We didn't know quite when. We were suspecting maybe around the 4th of May, obviously Star Wars Day, May the 4th. But it's not. It's a little bit later in the month. That means towards the end of the month. It's going to be the 25th of May. And of course that's going to be on Disney Plus. Now on to Star Trek news, and the big news of the week is of course the 2023 movie. We now know officially it is being led by J.J. Abrams. I'm glad it's not Tarantino. I know it's not the first time I've said this on stream, but I'm glad it's not. I love Tarantino, don't get me wrong. He has his place among filmmakers, and it's a really, really good place. But Tarantino does Star Trek. I just think that would be an absolute shit show, to be honest, and not really what. That's my take anyway. Others will disagree. But yes, we are. J.J. Abrams is coming back for the 4th in the JJ-verse movies. We'll still be calling it that, no doubt. They have confirmed the return of Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Zoe Saldana, Carl Urban, and Simon Pegg. We have zero plot details yet. People are speculating out there, but they're speculating, and a lot of people out there are saying it's going to be this, it's going to be that. Don't listen to them, right? We do not know. It is all unofficial. One thing I will note is that Chris Hemsworth has not been mentioned in the lineup. Now, Chris Hemsworth is big enough property in Hollywood that if he was attached, if he was going to be coming back, he would have been mentioned, I am sure, because they'd want, the excitement over it. Unless they're attempting to do what they did with Into Darkness, which I think was a bit of a misstep, to be honest, and they're going to try and keep it secret. Because there were rumours going back some time that they were going to do a time travel story. It was going to involve Kirk's father, of course, and they were going to bring Chris Hemsworth back now. So, yeah, they've not mentioned any plot details whatsoever. They've not mentioned Chris Hemsworth, so I'm thinking that storyline is off the table now. That's my personal prediction. It's not an official prediction, and I wouldn't claim otherwise. What J.J. Abrams has said very specifically, though, is that this is going to be something you've never seen before. So, yeah, it's always something we've never seen before. So, yeah. But it's something to look forward to. The release date has been moved. Obviously, we had an official release date of summer 2023 for the next Star Trek movie. That's now been moved to the 22nd of December 2023. So maybe it's going to move again. I don't know. We will have to see. Obviously, if they start production now, they can do it. That's certainly doable. but they'll have to sort of get their act together. Next bit of news is about Twitter and an absolute storm that happened on Twitter. So Paramount, previously Viacom, this is a little bit convoluted, so you'll have to bear with me. But Viacom, what was Viacom, is now been rebranded as Paramount, which presumably is different to the Paramount that is Paramount. I don't know. But they've rebranded. Viacom's rebranded as Paramount, and they held an investors meeting. At that investors meeting, they did invite a number of journalists. Obviously, it was an online event. They did invite a number of journalists to live stream with them or to view the live stream. And they included some exclusive footage from Strange New Worlds. Obviously, very exciting. Some journalists who, and this is where it gets convoluted, they weren't invited to the live stream. However, it also wasn't a private live stream. It was a public live stream that they never advertised the details for. I think I'm getting this right. So they live streamed. It was a public live stream. They just didn't make it public what the server was. Some journalists got hold of, oh right, so it's open to everyone, great, we'll go in, we'll have a look. They took some screen caps of the Strange New World footage, and of course instantly that's what they do, it's their job. They're on Twitter and they're posting them. Paramount reacted quite badly to this. They weren't very happy at all. They saw this as a breach of their privacy, their marketing, whatever, and it ended up with some Star Trek channels on Twitter basically getting a ban, getting a suspension from Twitter. A lot of people are boycotting Paramount as a result of this, which seems like it's a strong reaction, let's put it that way. That is exactly what happened to Star Trek Central, yes. They are one of them. So it's very, very strange all round, and I don't know what to think myself, because if it was a public live stream, yeah, screen cap it, that's what's going to happen. But if it wasn't, if it was an unlisted screen, I don't know. Anyway, that has been happening, and a lot of fans are very much up in arms. Oh, it has been resolved, has it? Great, fantastic. I wasn't aware of that. Cool. So, moving on then to Playmate Toys. They have released pictures of the new Prodigy line. We've said a few weeks ago that Playmates are bringing some new lines in, which is very, very exciting. And they have released pictures of the new Prodigy line. We've only seen protagonists so far. We've seen Dal, Murph, Gwyn, Jankenpog, and Zero. They've also said that there is going to be a hologram Janeway and a Rocktark. They're coming early 2023, those figures. In the meantime, the other figures are going to be available online from October this year, but in stores spring next year. So that's quite an unusual, or at least in my experience, that's an unusual way of doing it. To only release them online initially, but I suppose they know what they're doing. Now, they look like really, really nice figures, it's got to be said. They're 5-inch tall, 1/14 scale, and feature 14 points of articulation. The exception to that is Murph, but I think it's possible that Murph comes with the Dal figure. So there we go. It's just resolved with Trek Central, who are on Twitter and YouTube. Right, okay, who are back on. Right, well, that's good to hear. Anyway, Playmates Toys. We've also, later in 2023, got ships vehicles and role-play toys coming as well. So that's going to be one I'll be looking out for, because the cosplay side, or role-play toys, you usually got phasers or tricorders and stuff like that. I'll be also keeping an eye on the ships and vehicles as well. Well, that's it for this time. Thank you everyone for joining me. Huge thank you to my guest Keira, and a very, very happy birthday, Keira. Really interesting talk about Studio Ghibli there. So join me next time when I will be doing another deep dive for Star Trek, this time on the Klingon race. We'll be paying another visit, of course, to the Divine Treasury for another unboxing. There will hopefully be more Build the Enterprise, and hopefully it's going to be a lot easier than it was this time round. And of course, I will be bringing you the very latest in sci-fi and Star Trek news. In the meantime, what do we always say at the end? Peace and long life, and live long and prosper. Take care for now. Bye.